All right, welcome to section 7.5, the other trig functions. We've already learned about the original three trig functions, which are sine, cosine, tangent. Now we're going to be talking about cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Okay, so the objective of this section is to be able to recognize and use the other three trig functions, which for your review are secant, cosecant, and cotangent. Okay, so those are the three trig functions we're going to talk about. Okay, all right, so what we've already done, okay, we've already done the old ones. Okay, so for review, sine is y over r, cosine is x over r, and tangent is y over x. Okay, now we're going to do some new ones, and the three new ones are cosecant. And so remember what we did. We did this in Algebra 2. Sine, the s, always goes with the c. So sine and cosecant are reciprocals. Y over r turns into r over y. Cosine starts with a c, so it's going to go with the one that starts with an s. X over r turns into r over x. And tangent and cotangent are obvious ones. Those go together. Y over x for tangent turns into x over y for cotangent. Everything else is the same. So the only thing on this page you have to remember is that sine goes with cosecant and cosine goes with secant. So if you remember that, you should remember you only have to memorize the first three, because then you just take reciprocals of the new three. Okay, so how does this work? Example 1 says find the secant and the cotangent of 240 degrees. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is draw 240. Okay, so there's 180. We have to go a little bit further to get to 240. Okay, so now we need to find the reference angle. The reference angle is the distance from this end line to the nearest x-axis. So 240 take away 180 is 60 degrees. Okay, so we're going to deal with a 60-degree triangle. A 60-degree triangle in the third quadrant. Okay, and remember that the radius is always 2. The x value on 60s, remember, you need to go back to the last section. You can, but we're left, and the x value was positive 1. Now we're going left, so it's negative 1. It was up positive root 3, but we're going down, so it's negative root 3. Okay, so there are all of my answers for my 60-degree triangle. Okay, so what we're looking for now is the secant of 240 degrees. And remember, secant goes with cosine. So if cosine is x over r, so cosine equals x over r, secant is equal to r over x. So what is our r over x for this problem? Our r is 2, our x is negative 1. So 2 over negative 1 equals negative 2. So the secant of 240 is negative 2. Okay, so now let's look at the cotangent of 240. If tangent is equal to y over x, scroll this down, get rid of this. If tangent is y over x, cotangent is x over y. So what's our x? Our x is negative 1. Our y is negative root 3. So we have to multiply by root 3 over root 3 to get rid of that. And remember, negative over negative is positive, so that doesn't change anything. So what do we get here? 1 times root 3 is root 3. And root 3 times root 3 is just 3. So our cotangent is square root of 3 over 3. Okay, so same exact thing. You just have to remember that they are reciprocals of the original three trig functions. All right, so sines. What do we know about sines? Okay, so this page should be titled Sines. And remember, sine deals with y values, cosine deals with x values, and tangent is y divided by x. Okay, so remember, sine is positive in the 1 and 2 and negative below. So positive above, negative below. Same thing with cosecant. Remember, these go together. So cosecant is also positive in the first two and negative in the second two. Cosine is x value, so that's positive on the right side and negative on the left side. Same thing with secant. And remember, tangent is y divided by x. So positive divided by positive is a positive. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. A negative divided by negative is a positive. And negative divided by positive is negative. So tangent and cotangent are together. That means their signs are the same as well. Okay. So now we are going to do let's look at some approximating. Okay. We can approximate these using our calculator. Okay. Now there is no cosecant. There is no cosecant button on the calculator. There's no secant button, and there is no cotangent button. Okay. We do not hit the second button. We do not hit the second button. Those are inverses, not cosecant, secant, cotangent. Okay, so what we do is cosecant goes with sine, so you do 1 divided by sine. Secant goes with cosine, so you do 1 divided by cosine. And cotangent is 1 divided by tangent, because cotangent and tangent go together. So if we need to define the cosecant of 150 on the calculator, so we're going to do cosecant, so it's 1 divided by sine of the angle. So 1 divided by sine of 150 degrees. Now, first I have to make sure my mode is correct. Look, if you look, my calculator is in radians, so I need to make sure we're in degrees before we hit enter. Okay, so there we go. I'm in degrees now. So sine of 1 over sine of 150 degrees is 2. So my answer to this problem is 2. Okay, now, cotangent of 3 pi over 2. Now, we need to, that is in radians. We need to go back to radians. Enter on radians, and we type it in exactly the way it looks. Now it says cotangent, so cotangent is 1 divided by tangent. 1 divided by tangent of 3 pi divided by 2. Okay, and I hit enter, and go to So when we hit enter, we get error domain. So anytime you see error domain, you should remember from previous problems that we've done that that is undefined. Okay, so that would be undefined. Okay, so 2 is the first answer, undefined was the second answer. Make sure that you're always switching from on mode from radians to degrees depending on what angle you have. Okay, all right, example. We're going to step it up a little bit. It's telling you that the tangent of theta equals negative 3/4. Okay, and it's telling you that our theta is located between pi and pi over 2. So let's remember that we have 0, 90 is pi over 2, 180 is pi, 270 is 3 pi over 2, and then we have 2 pi. Okay, so those are our radian measures around the unit circle. It's telling us that theta is less than pi, so here's pi, so it's less than pi, so up, but it's greater than pi over 2. Here's pi over 2, it's bigger than pi over 2. So that places us in the third quadrant. Okay, it's less than pi, so it goes up, but greater than pi over 2, so it puts us in the third quadrant. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to draw our triangle in the third quadrant. This tells us where our triangle is located. Okay, so I'm going to draw a triangle in the third, or sorry, the second, I keep saying third. My fault. This is the second quadrant. That's my fault. Okay, so what do we know so far? Okay, what else do we know? We know 2 of our measures because they tell us the tangent. We also know that tangent is y over x. So our x value is 4, but we're going left, so it's negative 4. And our y value is 3, and we're going up 3, so it's positive 3. Okay, so what we need to fail to figure out is our r value. Okay, now the r value has changed now because we're not necessarily on the unit circle. So let's figure out what our r value is. Okay, so remember it's x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So 3 squared is 9, negative 4 squared is 16 equals r squared, 25 equals r squared, square root, r equals 5. So our value is 5. So let me move all this off to the side now. All right, so we should be able to answer all the rest of our questions now. Okay, we automatically know if tangent is negative 3/4, what's cotangent? It's the reciprocal, negative 4/3. Okay, now let's figure out what sine of theta is equal to. Sine is equal to y over r. our y is 3, our r is 5, so 3/5. Then we automatically know cosecant, because that's the reciprocal, r over y, so 5/3. And then we can figure out cosine. Cosine is equal to x over r. X is -4, r is 5, so -4/5. And then automatically we know secant, which would be -5/4, because those two are reciprocals. Okay, so we have our other 5 trig functions based off of the original information that they give us and our original trig function that they gave us. Okay, so let's do one more. Let's do one more example like this so you get an idea, another idea of how to do these. All right, so what do they tell us? First, cosine is 24 over 25. So what do we know? We know this is x over r. So we know our r is 25, our x is 24. Now, but we have to figure out what quadrant we're in. This will tell us that. So remember, we have 0, pi over 2, 1 pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Okay, what's it saying? It's saying theta is less than 2 pi. So that would be down because that's negative direction, but greater than 3 pi over 2. So it's bigger than 3 pi over 2. So that would put us in the fourth. Less than 2 pi, greater than 3 pi over 2 would put us in the fourth. So I'm going to draw a right triangle in the fourth quadrant. We know our r value, which is our hypotenuse, is 25, and we know our x value is 24. So we need to figure out our other leg by using our Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so x squared is 24 squared plus y squared we don't know equals 25 squared for our r. Using our calculator, 24 squared is 576, and we can also do 25 squared right now. All right, so 625. So 24 squared is 576. 576 plus y squared equals 25 squared, 625. So 625. I'm going to minus 576, minus 576. So what do we get here? So 625 minus 576 equals 49. So y squared equals 49. So y equals 7, square root of both sides. Okay, so now pay attention though. We're going down 7 because it's down. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of everything that's in our way here. We don't need this anymore. We don't need that. We don't need any of this. All right, so all we know is we know x is 24, r is 25, and our y is 7. But since we're going down, it's got to be a -7. Okay, so let me move all this over now, out of the way, and let's do what we know. All right, so what do we know so far? We already know that cosine is 24 over 25. That would make our secant equal to 25 over 24, because those go together. Now let's figure out sine. Remember, sine is y over r. Y is -7, r is 25. So -7 over 25. And then what else do we know? What do we automatically know if we know sine? We know cosecant, which would be r over y, which would be just the reciprocal of this, so -25/7. So we know cosine, sine. Now we need to do tangent. Tangent is y divided by x. Y is -7, x is 24. So -7 24ths. And then we automatically know cotangent, which would be x over y, which would be -24/7. Okay, so there's our 6 trig functions based off the 2 pieces of information they gave us at the very beginning. Okay, hopefully that makes some sense. If you have any questions, we'll make sure we get over them after, get to them tomorrow in class. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.